And so a lot of you have been asking me whether I'm buying Fantom right now, and the answer is no, I am not currently buying Fantom. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why, what my game plan is, and whether I no longer believe in the project, and what I think about the price action. We're also going to look at Bitcoin. We're going to look at some updates on ALGO as well, so make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. As always, check out the links in the description if you want to buy any of these amazing altcoins. BitGet, BYBIT offering you some amazing bonuses to trade. Those are the two platforms I personally use to buy crypto, so do check them out. Links in the description. Now, as we can see, let's start off with Bitcoin. We know we're in a crazy market right now. There is very little use looking at TA on altcoins unless you're looking for entries and exit points. If you want to see what trend and direction we're heading to, just focus on Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin, and more importantly, look at the macroeconomics, because that is what's telling you where we're going. Now, if you've not seen my update on Bitcoin, go watch that from yesterday. But what we can see today is we are seeing Bitcoin starting to stop some of that bleeding at around 19,000. We know 19,000 is a key level. As you guys know, and I've mentioned in my video yesterday, I'm expecting lower price points, right? I'm giving the bias to the bears right now, and I'm preparing myself for lower price points. Yes, there are patterns which we could form. I mean, you can see we're holding some decent support between 18,700 and 19,000. We could get a bounce back up to 22,000. But right now, we have to say that the bears are in huge control. I mean, just look at that daily EMA ribbon. We're not anywhere close. So we have to be very prepared for lower price points. And if that means lower price points for Bitcoin, you can expect the same for various altcoins heading lower into the red territory. Now, what I want to look at is, if you take a look at the Fear and Greed Index, you can see that's now sitting at 24. People are feeling a little bit more comfortable since yesterday based on the fact that it's holding 19,000 now. So that's one thing to be expected. But remember, what were we looking at yesterday that was causing a lot of this pain? This thing here, the dollar index. Look at that powerful daily candle there on the dollar index. This is what's thrown things to the downside, okay? Remember, when dollar index has a powerful day, Bitcoin moves inversely correlated. So for Bitcoin to have any reprieve here, and for all coins to have a bit of green, dollar index needs to call off down to its EMA ribbon. And that's perfectly possible, right? It's very overextended right now, and it could have a little bit of a calling off. Now, yesterday, we explained what went on, right? We tried to understand what caused the dollar index to go up. And part of the huge reason was this, right? Remember, the dollar index is weighted against the British pound, the yen, the euro, and those three are the most heavily weighted, starting with the euro. So GBP, you can see huge lows here, taking you back to 1985 lows on the GBP versus the US dollar, and the euro is tumbling as well. So a huge tumble on the euro. Again, both these economic zones, the Eurozone and the UK, have worse inflation, and they seem to be handling it worse than even the Fed are. So yes, people are upset that Jerome Powell is not being as aggressive, but you've got to remember, inflation here in the UK is higher than the US, and we just had 0.5% increase in interest rates. So we're sitting at a base rate, Bank of England rate, of 2 to 2.25, where the US is at 3 to 3.25 with less inflation. So you can see here, this is what's causing some of the panic out of GBP, out of Euro, which is creating relative strength, not absolute strength, relative strength for the dollar index. That is what's causing a risk-off mindset. That is why we're seeing horrible red in the markets. Dow Jones tumbled, guys, to a 2022 low. And in fact, it fell to lows not seen since June 2017 on the blue chips, guys. So this is not even just risk on stocks, because we've seen the NASDAQ getting punished, right? If we go over here, you can see this really did end a horrible week on the NASDAQ, and down another 1.8%, 1.7% on the S&P, and the Dow, which we just covered, down 1.6% just yesterday. These are the blue chips, guys. These are not altcoins. These are blue chips. So big red days in the market as fears of a potential another recession, or even a double dip recession. Remember, double dip is where we were in recession. We had 2 quarters of negative. You have 1 quarter of positive, then you go back in the negative. So you might hear people start talking about this double dip recession. On top of that, you've still got all these issues and tensions around Russia and Ukraine now escalating last week. So all in all, with the Fed meeting, with the issues around the Eurozone and the Bank of England, we're seeing it was a really horrible week for risk on appetite and for crypto. That being said, we're still holding at 19,000. You can see if I bring out the VPVI, if I bring out let's just bring out the volume profile here. You can see here we're fighting this key level. If we lose this level where this volume is traded, things get a little bit precarious. If I also bring out the Bollinger Bands, which I shared yesterday, you can see here that we're just hovering now. We had a green bit there. We're just hovering back down to see if we're going to test the bottom of the Bollinger Band, which sits at 17,819. Again, that is getting close to your lows from June the 18th. Earlier in the year. So that's what we're looking for on Bitcoin. Now, let's get on to Fantom. What am I on about with Fantom? What is going on? Am I buying? And what is my plan around Fantom? Let's pull up the chart, and we can see here Fantom sitting. In fact, let's get the one where we've got a few drawings on him. We can see Fantom is sitting here, just below our 24-cent mark. We're sitting at 23.3 cents here. We managed to get some support here, just shy of 22 cents, and we're holding up fairly okay here as Bitcoin sits at 19,000. But why am I not accumulating? Have I lost belief in the project? The answer is absolutely not. You've got to understand the situation I'm in with Fantom. This is a project I've been accumulating for a very long time. The portion of my portfolio that I'm comfortable allocating to Fantom is full. I don't need any more. Now, if my position was empty, would I be loading up Fantom? Probably not just yet also. That's not to do with the fact that I don't believe in the project. Right now, where we're at these crazy levels, the personal way that I like to do it is I like to focus on Bitcoin, Ethereum first. When I've got those positions right, only then do I allow myself the temptation of focusing on other exciting projects. So I give myself this game plan. It's like almost, you know, if you eat your veg, then you can have your dessert. That's what I do, right? So if I buy my Bitcoin, if I buy my Ethereum and I'm responsible at these low price points, then I would let myself top up on my Fantoms, on my Algorans, on my other exciting projects, which, let's face it, we all prefer these projects because they're going to give you higher risk, higher return. So it's more exciting and easier to go buy some Fantom. It feels better. You get more coins than it is to dollar cost average a bit more into Bitcoin. So my game plan has always been that. And again, if I didn't have a position in Fantom, I'd make sure my Ethereum and Bitcoin purchases were done, and then I would start building out my Fantom position to the percentage I'm comfortable in. I'm already overweight, guys. You guys know that. I've been talking about this project for a long time. I'm already overweight. Absolutely not. I'm not selling. Anybody asking? A lot of you were asking, am I selling? Absolutely not. I'm actively looking at opportunities, and I'm still going to get tempted, guys. I mean, if we look at this chart here, you can see we're holding support just between this pivot point here, right, which was here. But I'm looking at this next bottom here. This bottom here at 20 cents on Fantom, if Bitcoin falls down to that 17,600 level, I'm looking at this level, and I'm just going to break my rule probably and buy, because that's just such a juicy level to be buying at that I know that I won't be able to stop my temptation. So that's what I'm looking out for, is if we fall into this territory, I'm going to be a sucker to buy that. Now, in terms of some support for Fantom, that's the next level for us, right? At the bottom of the wedge at 20. Then it gets to 15. So those who are calling out crazy price targets on Bitcoin, and we know there's some risk to the downside. If you lose 17,600 and want to head even lower, then I'll be looking at that 15 level for support of Fantom. And again, that would be extremely juicy entry points here for Fantom. Now, if I pop on over to my Fibonacci extensions, what I want to remind you guys of, because sometimes we forget, what are our price targets? I just want to share my personal price targets. This is not financial advice. This is not exactly what I think is going to happen. But I sit there and I model these things out just to give myself a bit of a sense check. And if Fantom gets through this bear market, which is doing really well so far, and it can get itself to the position where Bitcoin starts recovering 30, 40, 50,000, things are going to become a lot easier for Fantom in terms of liquidity issues, in terms of growth, in terms of total value locked will start coming back. People start building exciting things again. And then I'm looking at this and saying a comfortable 0.618 to 0.65 Fibonacci retracement gets us back to $2.28 to $2.30. If you're talking about buying Fantom between 20 cents and 15 cents, even if we take another dump down lower, what a huge risk to reward to get you back to not even your all-time highs, but just to that Fibonacci retracement there. Now, for them not to get back to all-time highs, which, by the way, I think if Fantom clears this bear market nice and comfortably, they're going to smash this all-time high, in my personal opinion. So when you look at this all-time high here sitting at $3.30, that's a comfortable level for me. I would be very disappointed in the Fantom team and the ecosystem if that's not something they could achieve in the next bull run. More excitingly, and this is where things get a lot better, is looking at the Fibonacci extension. And the 1.618 golden ratio gives us a $5.60 level here on Fantom. And again, this is just a quick and dirty way of you looking at the price points which make you comfortable. And I think, again, very, very achievable. And even that, at that price point, I think the team will still suggest they have a lot more to do. Now, the other thing which is making me hugely excited around Fantom and similar projects is I'm very convinced at the larger narrative. More important than me just focusing on Fantom or one single project, I'm looking at the narrative. And I know that once I've got enough Bitcoin, I've got enough Ethereum, I feel that the flow of money, once risk starts to turn back on, which, by the way, could be starting towards the end of this year, early into Q1 next year, right? When we start thinking about the Fed pivoting, once we start getting to 4.6 on the Fed's fund rate, and they start talking about pausing or reducing rate hikes. It's at that point that money will start to flow back into crypto, and it'll flow in the patterns that we've seen every other bull cycle. Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then other large market cap layer ones. And guess who's going to be fighting for those layer 1 positions? You've got the likes of Ethereum, obviously, we'll put those above. Then you've got Solana, you've got BNB, you've got Cardano, you've got Avalanche, you've got Algorand and Fantom in the smaller market cap side. And that's where things get exciting. Near protocol, you're seeing even the layer zeros like Cosmos doing really well relatively recently. And if I show you this chart on Bitcoin, Fantom versus Bitcoin, you can see that it's holding up pretty well here. If I just switch across to the daily chart, what's worth showing you here is from the bottoms, when we hit our lows here on crypto, if I take the measured move to where we're at now, you can see that Fantom has outperformed Bitcoin 46%. And this is just an example of what's going to happen when Bitcoin starts recovering. If that was a small recovery we saw from Bitcoin from 17,000 to where we're at now, which is 19,000, and Fantom's outperformed 46% to Bitcoin, you can imagine when Bitcoin starts going back to all-time highs, what that percentage outperformance, if you extrapolate it, would be for a project like Fantom. And that's what you get. High risk, high reward. And that's why you're in those positions. And that's why you keep a smaller amount of your portfolio in a project like this, which could easily reverse the other way compared to the likes of Bitcoin or other larger market cap projects. So you want to have the safe part of your portfolio. You want your risky degen side of your portfolio, but even within that, you want to keep a carefully crafted part of your portfolio in those positions. You don't want to get too excited. Like, it's super exciting for me to go buy more on Fantom because I do have conviction in the project, but I've got to follow my rules. I've got to be in a position where if any project falls, I mean, Luna was another great example. I was able to absorb that loss so comfortably. It didn't faze me because I didn't let it become a crazy part of my portfolio. And there were a lot of people out there that did, because Luna was doing so well, because it was moving at strength. And we covered it here on this channel, how well it was doing in terms of a project, right? But then if you let that become too much of your portfolio, anything can happen in crypto. We've seen top 10 projects fall out of the sky, let alone top 50 projects. So you've got to be prepared that when you look at your portfolio, apart from Bitcoin and probably Ethereum, you should be comfortable losing any other altcoin in your position. If it went to zero, you guys should be living to fight another day. You should not be having too many sleepless nights, and you should be back on the horse, ready to work. That's the rule of thumb. So anytime I get excited that I want to buy some more, I remind myself of that. Just to wrap things up, I do want to share with you what's going on with Algorand. Algorand has been doing really well recently. This is a project we've spoken about at length here on this channel. And you can see here from the bottoms, from just there in August when we hit some of those lows, up to the peak of where we just ran to last week. That's a 46% rise here on Algorand, really showing some good impulsive strength. And you guys have known, if you've watched this channel for a while, I've monitored Algorand for ages, right? If I pull out the weekly chart, you can see we've got our drawings all over this chart. This is something we've been monitoring for a long time. And a lot of people said, why are you talking about this coin? But I'm really convinced that this is a great coin. And again, a small part of my layer one section of my portfolio, a great technologically enabled coin, good pure proof of stake. They've got the abilities to work on CBDCs. We know they've got a layer 2 built into their platform as well. So many good things from a tech perspective, right? Amazing team, Sylvia Mikali, Turing Prize winner as well. But I always said, and I made a video, I'll link it up here for you guys somewhere, that their biggest weakness was their issues around marketing. They just could not do the biz dev. They just couldn't get the hype. They couldn't get the attention that a project such as Solana or Cardano were getting, right? They couldn't even get into the echelons of the kind of attention that Fantom and Avalanche get, which I don't think is as good as the projects such as Cardano, right? And the attention that manages to achieve. So that's one area they had to work on. We know that they then brought in Stacey Warden as their CEO. We also know that they've now recently made this decision, and this is what's huge, right? If you look at this, they've hired Michelle Quintegli as its new CMO, their Chief Marketing Officer. More importantly, she's got experience from Visa, Fidelity, and Raytheon Technologies. Okay, so this is huge. Remember, not just the fact that they've brought in a new, that she's got great experience, which is great, but it's the fact that they've actually identified it as an area that needs strengthening. This was critical, and I said that at the time when I didn't sell my Algorand. I said, guys, this is the reason I'm not selling, but they've got to get it right soon. And I said that you can go watch the video. I'll link it up for you guys to go watch. It's really interesting. I said, I'm going to give them a final chance. And the reason I did that was they actually changed their CEO. They brought Stacey Warden in, who was ex-JPM. And I was like, hang on. She's coming from a corporate background. They must be bringing her in because she's going to fix this bit. Sylvia Mikali and the team have done a great work on the tech side. Just got to figure this side out. And now they know that they need to change their CMO. This is huge. The fact that they did the FIFA partnership and the World Cup is coming up, leading to some nice movement in price, right? You're seeing a bunch of people now helping, buying these different things. You're seeing investors buy Algorand, but also you're seeing users who want to take advantage of the FIFA collectibles from the World Cup later this year, taking advantage of it as well. So this can be a much needed relief for the Algorand price. Now, do I think this is going to be enough for them to not suffer? No, I think the whole market is going to suffer because the macroeconomy is in difficulty. But what I'm looking at, and this is what conviction is, I'm looking at these fundamental updates that these projects are doing. And if they're making the right strategic moves, if they're creating partnerships like the one with FIFA, if they're changing their CMO because they see there's a weakness there, if they're bringing more experience to the team, these are all the things that are fundamentally helping me to build conviction. If they were moving the other direction and they were being ignorant of it and saying, no, we're great at marketing, nothing we're doing is wrong, and they continue doing the same thing that they were doing last year, my red flag would be waving, and I'll be looking for a way to scale out my position or reduce it back to a neutral position. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this was a useful update in terms of what I'm doing around some of my favorite altcoins. Hope you guys are navigating this market well. Enjoy your weekend. Go watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.